Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizzano, and this is another episode of the world famous The University Love, the best podcast at 1, 2, 3 galaxies. But ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we just call this show Online Marketing Moves, and we're coming to you live today. Today is Monday, January the 10th, 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, come on in. Ladies and gentlemen, this podcast is going to upload early Tuesday, probably 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that. But, ladies and gentlemen, today we're here to talk about something important. We're here to talk about relationships in business. And the reason why I bring this up is because this past weekend, I watched a lot of football. Sat there with my daughters the last week of the season, so I figured, let me watch some of this nonsense football. And it's about football coaches and things like that. And, today is the last day of the season. Well, it's the day after the regular season, and a lot of times they call this Black Monday, and coaches get fired. And they had a coach that he had a winning record. He coached Miami, and he got fired because apparently his relationship with the quarterback, his relationship with the general manager was not the best in the world, and so they let him go. And it got me to thinking about how and also how a relationship can affect your job, how a relationship can affect your business and what you are able to accomplish. And I say this, ladies and gentlemen, for some reason this guy's making a whole bunch of noise, but wait one. Look at this guy, Jesus. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is the beauty of a recording outside. It's a lot of nonsense, but anyway, it got me to thinking, and let's talk about a couple different things. Now, relationships in sports, sometimes they seem to be. You would think that even if they're winning, like the coach of Miami, he was 9-8. The last 8 games they went 7-1. They had a very solid season. They lost a lot of games at first, then they won a lot of games. Doesn't matter the opponent, doesn't matter. But apparently the coach couldn't get along with the quarterback or the general manager, so they fired him. And it took me back to a long time ago when I was a kid and I watched the Bulls. And I think around 1998, the general manager for the Bulls, I guess he grown tired of Michael Jordan. I guess he grown tired of Phil Jackson. And he said, does not matter what they do, does not matter how they play. These boys, this is it for them. This is the last ride, And so this is why we had the documentary The Last Dance. And the relationship was splintered. Egos. There's a lot of different things that go into relationships. And it goes to show you that sometimes in business does not matter. Sometimes it does not matter the product. It does not matter the idea. Sometimes it's about who you work with. If you are doing a joint venture and you have somebody that does not align with your views or does not align with the way you run a business, then sometimes it might not work as quite as well as you want it to. And I'll give you an example. When I was doing affiliate marketing, I still do affiliate marketing, but when I was trying to do an affiliate marketing program with this company, and I remember there's a couple different things that I didn't really like, and it kind of soured. Of course, they don't care because they have a lot of affiliates, so they don't care what you think about them. But for me and for my belief system and for my, I don't want to come off as a con artist, you know what I mean? And they had a couple of business practices that they would do. They would like try to get people to, get a credit card or take out a loan and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, you need capital in business, but do you need to get a credit card to invest in a course? And it didn't really align with me. And I thought about trying to go back with them last week, and then I had the same thought cross my mind. I said, "Nah, I can't. I wouldn't feel comfortable. I wouldn't feel comfortable with aligning myself with this company again because of the business practices that they do. I mean, hey, God bless them. You do what you want to do, but for me and for my conscience, I don't feel right. I'm trying to tell somebody, hey man, take a loan out for a course. No, you don't have to do that. Don't do that. Like there's other ways. There's other ways to get around. There's other ways to make a buck. And you don't want people mortgaging out their lives for a course. You know what I mean? But so I'm not gonna go back to them. And it's just a relationship that doesn't mess well with me. I won't be able to sleep. And the coach of the Dolphins, he's a good coach. You got to be a good coach to be 9-8 in a tough division. But apparently his views of the quarterback didn't align with the front office. And a lot of times the bad part about relationships is egos get in the way. You can be in a relationship with the spouse of yours, with the girlfriend, boyfriend, does not matter. If you let egos, like sometimes egos and pride can get in the way of building a relationship, growing a relationship, and people will stand on the pride and they go, I got pride. I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. And it's like, sometimes you have to put your pride down, and sometimes you have to admit when you're wrong, and sometimes you have to admit when somebody else is right. And sometimes some people might, in the business relationship, personal relationship, somebody might know more than you about something, and that's okay. But don't let your pride, don't let your ego get in the way of ruining something that could be great. I mean, look at the relationship between, I'll give you an example, the owner of the Patriots and the coach. They have been aligned for the last 20 years, and the results have been tremendous. They've been to the Super Bowl like eight times, 9 times, something like that, and they won like 6 times. It's remarkable. Now, you're not going to win every year. We all know this, but the thing is, the thing about business, the thing about life is you want to compete. Championships, yeah, you'll win. You'll win. It's not about winning all the time, but you will have victories. You will have moments. But the thing is, in a business relationship, you want to be aligned. You don't have to walk down. You don't have to have the same views about everything, but you want to be in the same ballpark. You know what I mean? You don't want to do a joint venture with somebody, and they're like, hey, I want to charge $9,000 for a 30-page workbook, and you go, whoa, that doesn't make a lot of sense. If you're not on the same page, then it might not work out. And you want to be careful who you get in business with, and you want to be careful who you align yourself with. And you want to make sure you vet them out before you. Just because it looks good does not mean it's going to be great. And you want to make sure that you are comfortable with the business situation that you're in. It's sort of like a job, Have you ever went to a place and I worked at a company once when I started driving, and they had a whole lot of talk about safety this, safety that, and at the end of the day, they were not safe at all. They would they would ask you to run late. They would ask you to run over your hours. They wouldn't ask you, but they would hint around to it, and they would talk about they would give you more money. And after a while, it's like, why am I gonna do that? And then if I crash the truck, you're gonna act like you don't know me. You're gonna fire me on the spot. You're gonna say, "Oh, we never told them to do this," and the whole time they've been winking, nodding, and hitting around to you, running extra hard, to get their loads out. And so that dishonesty did not align with me and my driving, beliefs. And so I just left after a while. I didn't really give a notice. I just sort of say, yeah, forget about it. I'm out of here. And sometimes it's sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. And relationships can be important. It's they just are sometimes. It's like I give another example of relationships. It's like Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds had a very poor relationship with the media. Barry Bonds, more than likely, is not going to be in the Hall of Fame, and it's unfortunate. And Barry Bonds should definitely be in the Hall. He should have been the first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't care about them steroids. I don't care about that. All those guys did steroids. All these guys in baseball did some type of shenanigans. Shenanigans. Okay, so it does not matter. Does not matter. So Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame, but because he was the enemy of the media, an enemy of the press, Barry Bonds more than likely will not be in the Hall of Fame. And you see it all the time. You see these guys who are media darlings, these athletes, and people are like, oh man, they're such a great quarterback, MVP, blah, 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 blah. When they're not as good as advertised, But then you have another guy who's kind of prickly with the media, and they're like, oh no, we're going to talk bad about him, And it's just the way it is. It's just how it is, And so you want to make sure, especially if you're going to be in business, with somebody, you want to make sure that you have the same type. You want to be in the same ballpark, You're not going to agree with everything with everybody. It's just life, We all know that. You know that. I know that. But you don't want to be. You don't want to be living on the South Pole and they're on the North Pole. You don't want to be the total opposites, You want to be sort of the same, but you don't want to be so different that it's, if you're a guy that likes to work 6 days a week, and you have this other guy who's like, I work an hour a week, then it's not gonna work between you two, because one of you is gonna be pissed off with the other one, And so, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, always be careful about your relationships. Try to make the best out of them. Don't let your ego get in the way of a beautiful thing, because sometimes people, egos, money, greed, all those vices, all those things sometimes get in the way of something that could be real good. Alright, so go out, cultivate your relationships, and give it a go. Don't get fired. I'm just kidding. But just take your time, figure out your relationships, business relationships, personal relationships. Make sure you check in with people. Make sure you're doing good, because sometimes you never know. Sometimes somebody might not be happy, with you, Especially if you have a spouse or something like that, you have to check in with them every now and then and say, hey, are you all right? You happy in this relationship? You happy with what's going on? But ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, that is it for the podcast. We will be back tomorrow. Well, we'll be back if you're listening right now, it's Tuesday. We'll be back sometime today with an all-new episode of Online Marketing Moves. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tony Rizzano. Thank you for listening. And as always,